I'm Pat Bates, and this is Living on L.O.P. L.O.P. is loss of privileges for misconduct inside of a prison. The lessons foreign prisoners learned during isolation can be applied today, as well as moving forward in our lives. This episode features Mario Bueno, a community engagement coordinator with the Youth Justice Fund, and he's going to tell us how to regain our centeredness.
Check. There's no difference between me and anybody else. The only difference is that I opened up every door I wasn't supposed to. And I learned that during dark times, that's when you look within, because you're designed to succeed. The path of reintegration and reentry is a path that's darkened by a lot of unknowing, right? A lot of fear. You know, anything you don't know, invariably you fear. This book is aimed at those guys coming home, preparing them mentally, right? To find their centeredness before they come home. My name is Mario Bueno. I served from 16 to 36, 20 years in prison. I'm going on 42 years old this year, and currently I'm the community engagement coordinator for the Youth Justice Fund. Today we'll be speaking about finding your centeredness, that balance within. So at 16 years old, I was immediately placed in solitary confinement. No windows. We're talking about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I served 387 days at 16. The first week I was in there, they didn't change the television station in the Oakland County Jail. I was separated. I became angry, and I began to kick the door. Finally, they came and turned the TV off and put something on the window saying that for 3 days, I lost my privileges, right? This is kind of serendipitous, loss of privileges, L.O.P. At that exact moment, I realized that it's not what happens to me, it's how I respond to it that determines whether things get worse or get better, right? And at that moment at 16, I responded differently for the next 20 years when things of that nature happened. What did I do? I immediately corrected myself and asked myself, what am I supposed to learn in this situation? Between every stimulus and a response, there's a space. And within that small space is the power for us to decide how we wish to respond. And that's how I respond. That's how I'm able to immediately center myself and try to recapture what seems to be an unmanageable situation. And with that mindset, what am I supposed to learn in this situation? Invariably allows me to escape from that situation much sooner. So what can we do to regain that centeredness? First and foremost, be still. Be still and understand that everything's in perfect order. So that's number one. Second of all would be the self-talk, my personal mantras. For example, I'd wear a rubber band around my wrist in prison to remind myself that I'm being stretched. Or I would write a mantra down on an index card and put it in my pocket when I went out to yard. For example, be still and know that I'm God, or I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. These are personal belief systems and mantras and paradigms that I have that empower me instead of disempower me during the most challenging of times. And third of all, is to pause and reflect and say, what am I supposed to learn in this situation? What is this trying and stressful time? What is it trying to teach me? And starting out with that concept, with that inquisitive mindset, allows me to become greater from the situation. It's not what you get out of a situation, it's who you become in the process. Every situation that you encounter is specifically designed to shape you to become exactly what you're supposed to become, to manifest and produce what you're supposed to produce. Just like, for example, the planting of this tree. Well, a seed was planted, right? But it was planted, and there's not much difference between being planted and being buried. And as I was a juvenile lifer, I felt at a certain point, I felt buried. But then it was the shift in thinking, the realization that I was where I was because of who I was, that allowed me to realize I was planted. And to be planted means that you need to be in a space of darkness, and that shell needs a crack for you to have roots to be able to grow, and then eventually you break ground, right? Well, so too, every person facing a situation of darkness, of solitude, of isolation, First and foremost, you have to understand that you've been planted. You haven't been buried. So during stressful and hardship and challenges, I try to regain my centeredness by first and foremost trying to change my perspective on the situation. But invariably, each and every avenue of gaining and regaining your centeredness is an avenue of isolation, of self-reflection, of looking within instead of looking without, of looking at yourself in the mirror instead of looking out that window and realizing that if I'm going to change where I'm at, then I have to change who I am.